Okay, and here's your test review. You have two functions, the f and the g, and then you have to find solve these compositions. So this is f plus g of x, what's that equal? So we set up two parentheses. I have to use a pencil here because I don't have any pens. So the f function, what's that? 2x plus 5. And then plus the g function, which is 3x plus 2. Okay, so I look at 1, 2, and 3. So you don't have to worry about step 1. Okay, step 2, you don't have a number that you have to distribute, so you don't have to worry about that. And step 3, you're just collecting your like terms. So 2x plus 3x gives us 5x, and 5 plus 2 gives us 7. Okay, so that's what f plus g of x, 5x plus 7. You go ahead and circle that. Now over here it says what's f plus g of 3, and all this means is just put 3 in for the x right there. So equals x. So we have 5 times 3 plus 7. Okay. So that gives me 22. Okay, now the next one we got f minus g of x. Okay, so it's the same as here. You're going to do a composition where you subtract the two functions. So f is 2x plus 5, and then the g is 3x plus 2. So again, 1, 2, 3. You will not have to worry about step 1. Okay. Step 2 is a no-go. Step 3, we collect the like terms, but we got to fix that minus in the middle. So make it plus, the 3 is negative, and the 2 is negative. So I add 2 to negative 3, that's negative 1, and then I add 5 to negative 2, that's 3. So the f minus g of x is equal to negative 1x plus 3. Okay, now in that instance, what would f minus g of 2 be? Well, that means I just put a 2 in for the x over here. So negative 1 times 2 plus 3. So negative 1 times 2 plus 3 is going to be 1. Okay, now remember, dividing's easy. Don't overthink it. Okay, you make a division line. You put your f on top, 2x plus 5, and then you put your g on bottom, 3x plus 2, and then you can't really simplify that. So that's just what it's equal to, 2x plus 5 over 3x plus 2. Okay, then I insert negative 4 in for both the top and the bottom. So I have 2x plus 5, so now I'm going to have 2 times negative 4 plus 5. Then bottom, you got 3x plus 2, so it's going to be 3 times negative 4 plus 2. So I take 2 times negative 4 plus 5, 2 times negative 4 plus 5, I got negative 3. And then we have 3 times negative 4 plus 2, which is negative 10. So that's your fraction. If you have a negative and negative, you want to cross those out and just put it as 3 tenths. The fraction 3 tenths. Okay, now my next one. Remember what that circle means. It doesn't mean multiply, it means insert. Okay, insert. I-N-S-E-R-T. So you start with your f function, which is 2x plus 5, and then you parenthesize the x, and you're going to insert the entire g function, which is 3x plus 2. Okay, so we have 2 parentheses 3x plus 2, and then plus 5. Okay, now we simplify it. We don't have to do step 1, but we have to do step 2 here because we have to distribute our 2. Not to the 5, just the 3x and the 2. So 2 times 3x is 6x, 2 times 2 is 4, and then plus 5. Then I combine like terms. So we got 6x, and then 4 plus 5 is 9. So this composition is equal to 6x plus 9. Okay, so if that's what x is, what's that same thing with 5? That is a 5, sorry. So 5 equals x. So we have 6 times 5 plus 9. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 9 is 39. Okay, and then the next one's another insert, but this time we start with the g function. So the g function is 3x plus 2, and I insert my f function, which is 2x plus 5. And I do everything else the same way. Okay, you need to distribute your 3, so that's going to be 6x plus 15, and then plus our 2. So combine like terms. So we have 6x, 15 plus 2 is 17. So here I'm going to put negative 2 in for x, so we're going to have 6 times negative 2 plus 17. So we got 5. Okay, now in the next part is a little bit different. This looks crappy, just make a bracket there. Okay, now you got to find the two separate functions. So what you're doing, essentially, and we did an assignment like this, you have to take this and get back to these two functions, okay? But there's a trick to it. There's an expression that's like isolated because it's on the inside of something. It could be a parentheses, it could be an absolute value, it could be a square root, it could be whatever. So this is that expression, x minus 3. So that's going to be our g, because g has been inserted. G is what is inserted in for the x and the f function. So x minus 3. Now what you want to do then is x that part out and just put x without the minus 3. And then you just copy what you have. You have 4, and then we had a parentheses, but instead of x minus 3, we're going to have just x. And then raised to the second power, and then plus 6. And you're done. Okay, that's all you do. Okay, and then the next one, the expression inside is x minus 3. There's an inner expression somewhere. So f has to be the absolute value, and instead of x minus 3, we're just going to have x. Okay, so those are our two separate functions that we can do the insert. Okay, find the inverse function. Okay, y equals 8x minus 3, y equals 2x to the second power plus 7. Okay, so the first thing we need to do on an inverse means opposite, okay? So first you got to switch the x and the y. So x is going to go here, and then y goes here. And we have to get that y by itself. Okay, so here's the y. So we have a minus 3, we'd have to add 3. But I don't know what number x is, so I just put x plus 3. Now the opposite of times 8 is divide by 8, so we divide by 8. And again, I don't know what number this is, so I just underline it and put 8. And now y is by itself. We have x plus 3 divided by 8. Okay, my next one, I switch the x and y, so x, 2y to the second plus 7, and we have to get the y by itself in the inverse function. So we have a plus 7, so I do the opposite of plus 7. Now this right here, I don't know what x is, so I just put minus 7. So I have x minus 7 equals 2y to the second. Now y is times by 2, so you'd have to divide by 2. And then I underline that expression and put a 2 underneath, because I don't know what number that is, because I don't know what x is. Now with the power, see here you didn't have a power, now you do. You get rid of it and you make a radical, because that's the opposite of a power, and you just put a 2 right there. So y is equal to a radical 2 over the expression x minus 7 divided by 2. Okay, then you have a story problem, but you're not going to do A and you're not going to do B. Okay? It says a store is selling very expensive items. Well, on a day in March, sell any item for $20 less. So that means you get to subtract $20 from the price than the listed price. On any day in March, the store will also give a discount of 15%. That's minus 15% to any customer who can prove that he or she contributed to a local charity. And by the way, get this 50 is wrong. You need to scribble that out and put $20. I screwed that up. $20. So we want to write the two operations, okay, composed of two equations, means two operations together, so the $20 off comes first here. And then we want to compose the two operations together so that the 15% discount comes first down here. So X is our price. That's our price. We don't know what the price is, so I write X. So we have a percent. Now, when I have a price with a percent, that's multiplication in the front. And when I have a amount of money taken off, that's a minus behind, okay? Now, let's do our percent first. Let's put our percent. But you got it. You don't use 15%. Remember that minus 15%? You take 100% minus 15%. That would give us 85%. So you then got to make it a decimal. You move it twice to the left, so 0. So 0.85 is what we would multiply the X by to find the price. But then we also have a subtraction of $20. Okay, now here they want the $20 off first, so I parenthesize the operation of the X minus 20. Here they want the 15% discount first, so I parenthesize the percent part, okay? And that's the answers for C and D. And what we need to do then is, now they're telling us that the item costs $675. So this goes in for X in both of these, okay? So you got 0.85 times the parentheses, and I put 675 minus 20. Now this goes in for X, so it's going to be 0.85 times 675, close the parentheses, and then minus 20 outside. So we have to do our parentheses first. So 675 minus 20 is 655. And I take 0.85 times 655. $556.75. So we got $556.75. Now over here we're going to multiply first. Remember, 15% off means you get to subtract 15 from 100, then put that as a decimal in front as a multiplication. 0.85 times 675, and that's 573.75. And then subtract 20. 553.75. Again, so those are my two answers. Okay, that's what it costs if they do the $20 off first, then do the discount, the percent discount. That's what it costs if they do the percent discount and then subtract 20. So they are different.